would potentially save lives. And she kept telling me to stop fucking working on it. And out of pure spite. Her reasoning was, at the time I was like 20 and I was an E4. I think by that point I was an E4. So her reasoning was that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know my job. And I was just making a mountain out of a molehill. Turns out I was just explaining how I got started late, so I'm being super forgetful. And I forgot to turn my mic on. Because I'm stupid. Thank God I didn't say anything funny. How y'all doing? Well, here's a little spoiler for you. I wasn't. I was incredibly right, and it ended up becoming a very big deal that I was right. Like, a lot of people got involved once they found out I was right. Once I was able to finally get this thing done, and they found out that I was right, it became a very fucking big deal. Eidolon, I feel like I've heard that. You know what? I'm thinking of Battlelon, which is what Adventure Quest, the original Adventure Quest game, was, the non-multiplayer one. I played the non-multiplayer Adventure Quest and then never ended up playing the multiplayer one because it seemed a lot different. Became a very fucking big deal. What? Fucking big deal. So I would have to come into our a very fucking big deal. So I would have to come in 2 hours early and stay 2 hours late so that I can work on this. But, like, in my mind, oop. How's everyone today? In my mind, this needed to get done. This isn't something I can just be like, well, boss said I can't work on it, so I guess I'm just gonna let this risk stay out there and not be addressed because boss said I can't work on it. Oh my god. Bam. On it, coming in early, staying late every day, and, like, if she saw me every day, and, like, every day, if she saw me working on it at any point, chew me out, give me busy work, yell at me, threaten to write me up, all this different shit. Eventually, and this was kind of part of the start of me learning how to supersede your bosses and how to tell your boss, bam, different shit. And this was kind of part of the start of me learning how to
I really want Sour Patch Kids.
Supersede your bosses and how to tell your bosses to go fuck themselves in the most politically correct way. Because normally, when I was staying late, now Chief, our warrant officer Chief, was always late. He always stayed late. He always got in early. We were usually at the gym at the same time, first thing in the morning, and we'd show up to work at the same time. And then he would always, like, stay late. Normally, when I was staying late and I needed to go to the bathroom, there was a route that I could take to go to the bathroom. Right now, just trimming down any of the excess shit in this part, because I mean, this one segment alone is a story in and of itself. I think this might be the last short version of the My Worst Boss story that I end up posting. I'm posting it tomorrow, and then for next week or maybe this weekend or something, I'm going to post the entirety of it, edited with the random shit edited out, with the stuff that's not relevant at all edited out, which will introduce more stuff that's just not getting its own video because it doesn't have enough of a theme to get its own video. Oh my god, I'm trying to suppress a burp. It hurts like a bitch. But this will be the last of this one that of this story set that gets its own individual video, probably, just because I don't think there's too many more I could do of her making herself look bad, but that also, like, some of that went into other stories and stuff. So I like it's right now it's at a point where enough of the stuff is all like different from each other. Yeah. I don't know how to say it. Area where Chief sat would see me. And I didn't do this because I didn't want them to see me. I did this because it was the quickest way to get to the bathroom. But there was another route to get to a different bathroom that would cross right in front of Chief's desk. And I knew Chief would ask why I was there 2 hours late. Because Chief was just there 2 hours late. Because Chief was just not a micromanager, but got really interested in everything everyone was working on. Really good guy. I really liked him. Really respected him a lot as a chief, as a warrant officer. Fuck you, Roderick. So one of these days, I realized. Him a lot as a chief, as a warrant officer. So one of these days, warrant officer. I hate that breathing sound. I hate when I breathe in sound. It bothers me so much. Okay. Warrant officer. So one of these days, I realized, oh wait, I know what to do. And when I get up, I make sure I'm there about an hour and a half late, so it'd be very obvious that I was staying late. And when I get up, I cross in front of his desk when I go into the bathroom. And he's like, "Hey, Johnston, what are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh, well, I'm just kind of working on this thing, you know. Sergeant Shrek doesn't think it's a big deal, but you know, I figured I'd put some time into it and work on it a little bit and maybe check it out." I was like, "Hey, Chief, what do you think?" I was like, a little bit and maybe check it out. I was like, I need to stop talking so fast. It makes cutting out the random noises harder when they're just fucking one right after another. We check it out. I was like, "Hey, Chief, what do you think about this?" So he's like, "Oh, show me." So he's like, "Oh, show Chief, what do you think about this?" So he's like, "Oh, show me." I take him over to my workspace. I show him what I'm working on. He's like, "Oh, no, this is your priority. This is your priority now. I want you to work on this." I was like, "Well, you know, Sergeant Shrek told me not to work on it anymore, told me I wasn't supposed to prioritize, I wasn't supposed to work on this anymore. Why does Sergeant Shrek not work on this?" Like, "Well, she doesn't think it's a big deal, blah, blah." Like, no, this is, you're working on this. Like, "Well, could you make sure Sergeant Shrek knows that you want me working on this?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll talk to her in the morning." I get into work. Doctor in the morning. I get into work. Sergeant Shrek shows up. Sergeant Shrek shows up. When Sergeant Shrek gets there, I pull up. Sergeant Shrek shows up. When Sergeant Shrek gets there, Sergeant Shrek shows up. I pull up what I was working on, the thing I was working on. I get out the thing I was working on. And Sergeant Shrek sees it. Goes up. I pull up what I was working on. I get out the thing I was working on. Sometimes when I say the same thing twice. Another day in paradise, senpai. How you doing? First time chat? Hello. Welcome. How'd you find me? You stalking me? Bet you are. Creepy. Gross. It's going well enough. Just getting some editing done. Monday's my editing stream day. That way I can get a little bit of stream time, interact with chat a little bit, but also get the editing done for part of the week at least. Shrek shows up. I get out the thing I was working on. And Sergeant Shrek sees it, immediately starts drilling me. But Sergeant Shrek, once Sergeant Shrek had gotten there, Chief started getting up and walking towards me. Like I could see him walking towards me. I don't know why the word me apparently got stuck in my brain for a second there. Towards me. Like I could see him walking towards me. And immediately comes walking towards me, and immediately comes over and hey Johnson, pull up that thing. Is that it? It's like, pull up the thing you were showing me yesterday. I was like, he's like, is that it? It's like, yes, it is. How you doing, senpai? Blah, blah, blah. You work on this. Like, Sergeant Shrek immediately goes, well, I don't think this is a big deal, Chief. It's like, well, I think it is. I think it's a very big deal. And if you don't know, chiefs, warrant officers in the Army are kind of like gods. Deal. Just woke up. It's almost 3 p.m. here. Is that like same for you, or are you somewhere where officers in the Army are kind of like? I mean, I can't judge it because I've worked shifts and shit before too, where I was usually waking up sometime between noon and 3. Gods. So him saying it was a big deal. Okay. 1 p.m. Well, yeah. I mean, hey, depending on what your schedule is, then, you know. How is it dark out at 1 p.m.? Oh, Repexer said that. Your colors are the exact same in my chat right now, so I got very confused. So him saying it was a big deal means it was a big fucking deal. Still, now I can finally work on this thing at work. Now I can finally... Big fucking deal. Now I can finally work on this thing at work. Now I can finally do this thing at work. I want Sour Patch Kid watermelon ones. I want the watermelon Sour Patch Kids, and I want it right now. Directly, like, approved by... God damn, I was making so much fucking noise into my mic with this. You know, Warrant and all of them. By Warrant and all of them to work on this. God damn, why was it picking? What was I fucking doing that was making that much noise? The fuck? I'm being directly told by Warrant and everyone to work on this. But still, to work on this. But still, despite the fact that Chief wants me to work on this, and that entire group wants me to work on this, and now it is something that is being tracked by more people that it needs to be done. She is going out of her way to make it as hard for me as possible to work on this without at the very least having to stay late to work on it. So every time I come in, hey, I start to work on it. Hey, there's all this other work you need to do. There's all this other work you need to do. It's like, well, every time I come in, hey, I start. Hold on. I start to work on it. I come in, start to work on it. I wish I'd had my Streamlabs set up the same way I have it now for recordings when I was recording this, because now I have so many different audio tracks that it makes it real easy to cut some shit out when it needs to be. On it. Hey, there's all this other work you need to do. There's all this other work you need to do. It's like, well, Chief said this is a priority. Chief said this is a priority. No. Well, you priority. Chief said this is a priority. No. Well, you're gonna do all this first. Like, well, Chief wants me to work on this, blah blah, and basically forcing me that I would have to stay late to work on this, but give me a whole bunch of other busy work to do that didn't matter. It could have been pawned off to anyone else. So I had to stay late to work on this. I would get like Chief coming over and being like, "Hey, where are you at on this? I haven't made any progress on this. Yeah, why not?" It's like, well, I had other stuff to do. It's like, no, this is your focus. Like, okay, whatever. Eventually, it got to the point. Where how I finally where how I finally kind of solved this problem with that chain of command. With that chain of command, how I finally solved this problem was going up to the leadership. Was going up to the leadership to that little cluster of Chief, our Master Sergeant, and our Army Captain, our Master Sergeant, and our Sergeant and our Army Captain, and saying, Sergeant Shred. Saying, Sergeant Shred. What do I say? I went up to how I finally solved this. Sorry, I'm spacing a little bit. How I finally solved this and made it stop being that much of a problem for me was I went up to that cluster. How I finally solved this. Sorry, I'm spacing a little bit. How I finally solved this and made it stop being that much of a problem for me was I went up to that cluster of leadership. I went up to Master Sergeant with Chief and Captain there and said, I am tired of having my work on this thing undermined. I am trying to follow, and I said it a little bit more respectfully this, but I said, I'm trying to do this task that you told me is a priority. I am trying to handle it, because I would go to them occasionally and say, like, hey, she's doing this stuff, like, okay, whatever, and kind of sweep it under the rug. I'm trying to do this task that you gave me. Every single time I try to work on it, she gives me other work to do. She gives me busy work. She's making this progress slower. She's giving me less time to do it, and she's making it harder for me to do. to do. I don't know why she is so hesitant to have me work on this. This is potentially a massive security issue, so I can only assume that she has other intentions for not wanting me to get this done, for not wanting me to finish this project. And I'm concerned that I will have to report her as a security risk because it is very suspicious that she will not let me work on this, that she is trying to stop me from working on this, and I think she might be a security risk. And they go, Johnson, let us... I fully understand where you're coming from. I fully get what you're trying to say. Let us handle this. Because they don't want... If I report her... her clearance gets pulled for at least a temporary period of time. She gets moved from that shop, and it's going to be a while where they have someone, and it just looks bad on the entire fucking division. So they go handle her, and she finally stops fighting me on this. I finally get to finish this. But here's where the just desserts comes in. Finish this. But here's where the just desserts comes in. Am I going to include that part? Or is this just going to be where the just desserts I finally get to finish this? Oops. But here's hold on. Here's where the just desserts comes in. Do I want to include that part in this story? This is desserts comes in. It's going to be about 9.5 minutes, 10 minutes long once I cut out the repetitive part. And say like, hey, she's doing this stuff. Like, okay, whatever, and kind of sweep it under the rug. Sergeant Shred. What I said is I went up to how I finally solved this. Sorry, I'm spacing a little bit. How I finally solved Sergeant. How I finally solved and saying. I'm gonna cut that part. Can make a nice little obvious barrier for me. It's like, okay, whatever. Eventually it got to the point where how I finally kind of solved. Bam. This goes down to 1048. Whatever. How I finally solved this and made it stop being that much of a problem for me was I went up to that cluster of leadership. I went up to Master Sergeant with Chief. And here's the audacity. Constantly shit-talking my work. Should be able to do this. Yeah. She'll try to make me late for every single... Here's... What do I have still? Okay. Bam. And here's the audacity. Talking my work. Constantly telling me how bad I was at my job and how nothing I did was good, how I sucked at everything. Ended up writing herself up for an award for work that... The audacity. And here's the audacity. Constantly shit-talking my work. Constantly telling me how bad I was at my job and how nothing I did was good, how I sucked at everything. Ended up writing herself up for an award for work that I did. She wrote herself up for an award that was meant to be an award for the people doing the work, not the supervisors. Jumped chain to submit it so that it didn't go to the person above her who would immediately have sent it back and said, no, you can't write yourself up for this. Turned it in to the head this was being granted by a civilian, which was actually an advantage for us because he was an SES, which meant he could give us a flag letter of commendation. which worth an advancement point. Turned it directly into that front office, who had no clue how the teams were structured, so didn't know that this wasn't an award she'd be writing herself up for. It was entirely work that I'd done, and she got the fucking award. She got the award for my work that she consistently told me was bad and poor and that I sucked. And that award would have been worth an advancement point. And that cycle, I did not advance by less than 1 point. I didn't advance by 0.48 points. So that would have pushed me past. That would have pushed me past. But she stole that fucking award from me. And the only reason I found correct, which is causing us to... Where did I do that? Found out because I was at a training. I was at a training when the awards were being given out. Was one of my bosses, sort of one of the people that was in that administrative chain of command that I had things with, and that I had things with.
Bam.
Ended up texting me like, "Hey, you were the one that worked on this thing," or didn't text me, but like pulled me aside. You know what? Or didn't text me, but like pulled me aside. That administrative chain of command pulled me aside. You know what? One of my bosses pulled me aside. Command pulled me aside. Sort of one of the people that was in that administrative chain of command pulled me aside. You know what? One of my bosses pulled me aside. Not bosses again, but like a girl that sat in that area and was kind of administratively a boss, but not technically a boss. Technically a boss. Pulled me aside after I got back from... Technically a boss. Pulled me aside. Pulled me aside after I got back from training. It's like, "Hey, this." I was like, "Yeah? Why?" It's like, Shrek just wrote herself up for an award for it to get approved and moved on further. She never saw it. That entire... see it. It got submitted straight to that lives. That she fucking lives.
Bam, bam. And that's when I started doing the cuts. I have another add-on to this. I don't know where I put it, though. But it would make this a lot easier for me if I knew where I put it. I thought I had put it right. Oh, no. Here's the add-on.
And here's the audacity.
Wait, no.
Every day, and like, if she saw me working on...
Nope. Okay, that's the same one. I don't know why. That is being weird. Oh my god. Leaving me late, force me not to do.
Here's the audacity.
Okay, that's that one. Oh my god. I should have organized everything better. And I did at first, but then I added shit. The fuck did I just do? Oh no, you fucking don't. I don't know what. Okay. I'm gonna save this real quick. I'm gonna reopen it and see if that fixes this. If not, at the very least, it's fucking saved.
Oh, thank God! For a second, I thought it all disappeared. I was gonna be furious. Okay, here's the rest of it. It's still my ward, and that's also part of forcing me not to do being arrogantly wrong. That's a whole set of shorts I can make, honestly. That will advertise the main video. My mentor told me, that's the one about Rooter, making herself look bad. That's gonna feed more into the full video. Insulting me to leadership. I think I already did a lot of that. Where is the other parts? Have that saved somewhere else? I think I might have that saved. That might be. Let's go here. No, I couldn't have really. Get to finish this, but in division. So they go handle her, and she finally stops fighting me on this. I finally get to finish this, but have really, I couldn't have. Essentially, she stole. No, I couldn't have really. The reason I say she stole points from me is because she put herself in for an award that was meant my level, not at her level, for work that I did that she did not do, and it was specifically work that she was instructing me to not do. So the audacity of her putting herself for an award that was based off of work that I was being told not to do, so for an award for chain, so that the people that would know that it wasn't an award meant for her and that it wasn't something that she did. When he got it, he basically said, "Oh, this is great. She did great work." Gave know that it wasn't an award meant for her and went above her to the people that approved the award. It was not something that she put on that I trust went and tried to explain to them who both looked when I was supposed to get it. Yeah. There's not really. Well, let me see. Let me look closer to the end and see if there's any value added. Because that was just me answering a question during stream because someone was asking, how did she fucking get away with that? And the answer is because the military sucks. Check something. Huh. Okay. Pop it up. We don't want to admit that you did this because it'll make us look. Thing too, where, and it's a thing too where there's a lot of stuff that like technically you're not supposed to do or you're not allowed to do in the military that people. It's the law, the extra set of law. A UCMJ fully know the legality of it. I do not. I had gotten it when Sergeant Shrek stole it from me. It would have given me enough that award later for different work. Didn't do any of that. Blah blah blah. This is all his work. They didn't want. Understanding from the person that told me, they didn't want that it was in fact me. They didn't want to. From my understanding, from the. I think this is the part that actually is relevant. From the person that told me, like they reached out, and I trust this person that they reached out and explained everything to the person, to the people, the GS-15, the SES, approving the award. she went, and this person that I trust went and tried to explain to them that's not Sergeant Shrek's work. That is Johnston's work. She didn't do any of that. Blah blah blah. This is all his work. They didn't want to both look bad for themselves and make Sergeant Shrek look bad publicly by rescinding the award from her. They didn't want to go through like any process of taking the award back from her and rescinding it, because it would make her look bad and potentially make them look bad for not being aware enough of what their team is doing. I did end up getting that award later for different work that I did. But if I had gotten it award later for different work that I did, if I had gotten it when I was supposed to get it, if I'd gotten it when Sergeant Shrek stole it from me to get it, if I had gotten it when I was supposed to get it, if I'd gotten it when Sergeant Shrek stole it from me, it would have given me enough points on my promotion to have made E5 on that cycle. But since she stole it, I didn't. Because the way like Navy points work, it's fully no of it, which is the technically definitely considered very, very, and it's a thing too where there's a lot of stuff that like technically out and being like, listen, we're not going to push this, don't fucking do it again. We're speeding, and the cop just said, so you're fucked since they messed up and didn't want to admit they made a mistake? Basically, I got screwed over because they messed up and didn't want to admit that they made a mistake. Yeah. That's the long story short of it. That's happened so often in my military career where I got screwed over for someone else making a mistake. I got this same Sergeant Shrek ended up keeping me from going on TDYs into trainings that I should have been going to, because she kept making excuses for like I couldn't go or incredibly high. But there's also times when my work, and she would constantly say, no, Johnson's got too much. Our team working roles, and 2 of them were in leadership roles. I ended up finding out later that the reason, and we had points when we had really, really high workloads, like a lot of work on my plate, and when Petty Officer O was getting out of the military, or when Petty Officer wasn't getting, she hadn't gotten her quals yet. In your quals, you work on studying, doing any work. A team of at least 5, which was the one I requested. This team is not big enough. Merging my team, as they recognize that we're just going to make this team a lot bigger. We have a group of rates they are solving. We're a group. Because it would make her look have made E5. I'm concerned that I will have to report her. No, I couldn't have, really. I couldn't have. Essentially, she stole. The reason I say she stole points from me is because she put herself in. My understanding from the person brought to their attention that was not. When he got it, he basically said, "Oh, this is great. She did great work." Wrote the award for her. Gave her the award, and then when it was brought to their attention, when it was brought to his and his, that was not. From my understanding from the person that. Okay, I got that. I hope at the very least listening to me edit videos is decent background noise. Or some level of entertaining for everybody. I know sometimes when I'm doing editing, like I get way too into it. So like I'm not paying attention to chat, I'm not really engaging much at all. So I recognize mostly if it's going to serve as anything, it's going to serve as background noise for people. From my understanding, from
Group this together.
submitted to, she was one of the ones that was. It was something that I did that directly had an impact on the world and saved fucking lives. That she directly told me of people did not see it. It got submitted straight to that person. As I was fucking furious. I was so mad. And this was also work. So mad.
Gonna cut there. Gonna add, I don't know how much space I need, so I'm gonna make a lot of it. Bam! That was way more than I need. Bam. Bam, bam. I added a little bit extra, and then I'll throw the comeuppance part on the end of this one.
Furious. I was so mad. From my understanding, from the person that told me, like they reached out, and I trust this person, that they reached out and explained everything to the person, to the people, the GS15, the SES, approving the award. She went so mad. From my understanding, from the person that told me, like they reached out, and I trust this person, that they reached out and explained approving the award. She went, and this person that I trust went and tried to explain to them that's not Sergeant Shrek's work, that is Johnston's work. She didn't do any of that, blah blah blah. This is all his work. They didn't want to both look bad for themselves and make Sergeant Shrek look bad publicly by rescinding the award from her. They didn't want to go through like any process of taking the award back from her and rescinding it, because it would make her look bad and potentially make them look bad for not being aware enough of what their team is doing. I did end up getting that award later for different work that I did. If I had gotten it when I was supposed to get it, if I'd gotten it when Sergeant Shrek stole it from me, it would have given me enough points on my promotion to have made E5 on that cycle. And this was also work that on that cycle. And this was also work that she tried to directly tell me. Not only was this my work, and this was very, very important work. This was work. This is one of the things I'm more proud of in my career, because it was something that fucking saved lives. And here's the audacity. Constantly shit talking my work. Constantly telling me. And here's the audacity.
I need to find at least like 7 seconds worth of something to put in front of that, because YouTube, they changed their policies after they try to ban like curse words and shit for a while there, and people freaked out. They changed their policies so that they don't demonetize because of curse words. They don't have problems with curse words inherently, but they do if it's within the first 7 seconds. And hold on, and I say shit, I think at 3.
Constantly shit.
At 4 seconds. So son of a bitch. Let's see. Let's see if I can find something.
But she was constantly talking shit. I ended up finding out, constantly talking shit about me. And here's the audacity. Constantly shit talking my work. Constantly telling me how bad I was at my job and how nothing I did was good, how I sucked at everything. Shit talking my work.
I'm just gonna cut out that part, and then bam, bam. There you go.
And here's the audacity. Constantly telling me how bad I was at my job and how nothing I did was good, how I sucked at everything. Ended up writing herself up for an award for work that I did. She wrote herself up for an award that was meant to be an award for the people doing the work, not the supervisors. Jumped chain to submit it so that it didn't go to the person above her who would immediately have sent it back and said, no, you can't write yourself up for this. Turned it in to the head, this was being granted by a civilian, which was actually an advantage for us because he was an SES, which meant he could give us a flag letter of commendation, which worth an advancement point. Turned it directly into that front office, who had no...
Okay, cool. I have that. Now I just need to add the comeuppance. Because I'm going to finish... This is going to be the last one, so this is going to have the comeuppance part. This is going to have the sweet victory ending, sort of. I'll add some of the extra stuff in...
But I'm going to get a quick editor's note in, too, about...
I'll add some of this extra stuff in.
But one of the things that my one of the things that 2 or 3 hours, like some amount of time later, like I think it was if buildings with her.
Yeah, I'll add that all in later. I'll add that into the final product. Some of the extra like notes, because as I'm editing the story, as I'm doing stuff to edit the story and shit, I end up consistently like remembering parts of it that I didn't tell, and then talking about that, and then clipping it out and be like, okay, I'm gonna add this later.
Stops fighting me on this. I finally get to finish this, but here's where the just desserts comes in.
There you go.
Because comes in. Where the just desserts comes in. Because I didn't really trust them to handle her. Because at this point, any of the actual...
God damn it.
Any of the actual stuff, like as long as I was getting my job done, they didn't do a whole lot. And there's a lot I didn't tell them because I didn't want to be the guy that was constantly bitching. Like I didn't tell them as much about her demeaning me, but I did eventually tell them about her demeaning me and doing all this shit. Tell them about her demeaning me and doing all this shit. I didn't trust them to handle this, so I went to my Navy chief. And Navy chiefs are just straight up gods. If there's any Navy chief that ends up watching this video, know that you are a god. Like, like, Navy chiefs are just straight up gods. If
that is not relevant to the story.
Gods, if gods,
Bam.
if there's any Navy chief that ends up watching this video, know that you are a god. Like, and like, Navy chiefs are seen.
Jesus. Oh my god, what the fuck's going on?
Navy. They are untouchable. They are powerful. They will push your shit in. I go to my Navy chief. push your shit in. I go to my Navy chief. I go to my Navy chief. And at this point, she still had me do push-ups. She still had me do a lot of shit. I go to my Navy chief. I say, Chief, I love this chief. I love this chief to death. Some people had a problem with her because she talked a lot, but I loved her. You could not shit talk this chief in front of me. To this day, if I meet someone that tries to shit talk that chief to me, I'll push their fucking teeth down their throat because I love that chief. Because I go to her, I say, Chief, I'm having this problem with my chain of command. I'm having this problem with my NCOIC. She's doing this, she's doing this, she's demeaning me every day. She's, stopping me from doing work. I think she's doing this, she's a problem. She's trying to force me to not follow Navy regulations. She's doing this. And you know what? I'm tired of fucking doing push-ups all the time. She's like, she's making you do push-ups? Like, yeah. Why? It's like, I don't fucking know, because she's bored, Chief, because she's bored. She's like, don't worry, Johnston, I'll handle it. Now, when I got up to go talk to her, I didn't say shit to talk to the chain of command, to talk to my chief. I didn't say shit to my sergeant. I just got up and walked away because I can't remember what she did, but it pissed me off that much. I just got up and walked away. When I come back, got up and walked away. When I come back, I go to sit down. Sergeant starts drilling into me, like, where did you go? You need to tell me where you go. You need to tell me everywhere you're going. Why are you going somewhere not telling me? Blah, 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 blah. And drilling into me. And as I'm sitting, and I'm thinking Chief's going to handle this in a day or two. As she's drilling into me, I look over and I see Chief, who is like this 5'2" pregnant black woman, like just kind of waddling over with a fierce fucking look in her eye. Look in her eye. Chief comes over while she's in the middle of yelling at me and says, "Excuse me, are you Johnston's NCOIC?" And she goes, "Yeah, why?" Is like, "I need to talk to you about him real quick." And Sergeant Shrek looks at me like, "What did I do? What did you do? Am I going to need to fuck you up more? Blah blah blah." They disappear. You up more, blah blah blah. They disappear for for 20-30 minutes. I don't know. Chief pulls her into a side office that's like down the hall. I see them going to the side office down the hall. Side office down the hall. When they come back, I see Chief walk over a little bit, notice me, look at me, and give me a look that says, "I handled it." And I see Sergeant Shrek, and I see Sergeant Shrek come over, and I see Sergeant Sergeant Shrek come over, tears streaming down her face. She is fucking weeping. Tears all down her face. "Johnston, can I talk to you real quick?" I said, sure. I love this part. Every time I remember this fucking horrible woman crying, it makes me happy. Sure. pulls me into that same room. Johnston, I am so sorry. I did not mean to mistreat you like this. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't want anyone to ever think of me as a toxic boss, because I said like 17 times when I was talking to Chief about how tired I was of the toxic environment and blah blah. I didn't want everyone to see me as like a toxic leader. I'm so sorry. Like if you ever have any problem with me, you can come to me. Like you don't have to go anywhere else. You can come to me. I'll handle it. I'll handle it. I was like, oh, okay. It's like, if you or else you could come to me. I'll handle it. I was like, oh, okay. It's like, if you have anything, like, I'm so sorry. Like, anything you have to say to me, you can say it to me. And the look Chief gave me was a very specific one. The look Chief gave me when she handed it over, when she looked.
Hey, what's up, Curio? How you doing, man?
Looked at me when was and Shrek was coming to me.
This video, the full of it, will be posting at 5 a.m. tomorrow, because for some reason, my best videos seem to be the ones that post at that time. I think it's a lot of like story time content people like listening to on their way to work, or while they're working, and specifically like a lot of the military style storytelling content is enjoyed by people that tend to work 9 to 5s. So I think that's why. So it's probably, I'm going to post at 5 a.m. tomorrow, so you can hopefully it follows the trend of the stuff I post at 5 a.m. does better.
To me was a look of, I handled this. This is your one chance to say whatever the fuck you want, and she can't do anything about it. But at that time, I was still a much more compassionate person. And I had this sobbing woman in front of me, crying her ass off and apologizing. Crying her ass off and apologizing. And I could not apologizing.
But how you doing, man? How's shit? This is I don't know if you were here early when I was talking about it, but this is going to be the last entry in the trimmed down My Worst Boss stories. So the next version of it is going to be the entire rant, which is the fluff cut out of it. So it's going to be like an hour long, probably, maybe a little bit more. But that will also end up having more stuff that this one does that none of the small ones have, because there's a lot of stuff that's just like, I don't know how I can make a theme, a video out with this part of the story, like that is thematic. Because I found a lot of people tend to, if I have like a video, if I have a storytelling video that has like multiple parts to it, a lot of times people tune out after the first part. So I've been trying to keep everything thematic.
Amount of money and apologizing. And I could not bring myself to say all the things I wanted to say to her, but I would give any amount of money. I would give every fucking dime I have to have been a fly on the wall in that room when Chief was fucking destroying her. I would love that, because fuck that woman. And then what I also noticed when when Chief was when
Oh shit.
When Chief was when Chief was walking over to talk to me, one of the other things I noticed was Chief was over also, or when Chief was walking over after Sergeant Shrek came to talk to me, was or when Chief was walking, or when Chief was walking,
yeah,
was when Chief was walking over after Sergeant Shrek came to talk to me, Chief was sitting. What am I trying to say? When Sergeant Shrek and I, when
Okay. I get confused sometimes when I tell these stories. Not that a big part of my editing when I edit these stories is just making shit flow in a way that makes sense.
Sergeant Shrek and I walked. Okay, when Sergeant Shrek and I, one of the things I was what I also noticed when Chief was Sergeant Shrek and I.
Hold on. Okay.
Chief was sitting. What am I trying to say? When Sergeant and then what I also noticed when when Sergeant Shrek and I walked. Okay, when Sergeant Shrek and I, one of the things I walked. Okay. What I also noticed when Sergeant Shrek and I, one of the things I noticed was when Sergeant Shrek and I had walked to go into that office where she was bawling and apologizing to me, Chief was over talking to my big ball of leadership over there. Within like
What's everyone up to? How's everyone doing? How's everyone who's in right now doing?
Leadership over there. Within like 2 or 3 days, Sergeant Shrek was removed from a leadership position. I had a new NCOIC. I actually had a Navy petty officer in charge of me for a little while. Sergeant Shrek was removed from a leadership me for a little while.
I hate that breathing noise. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to not have to breathe so that noise stops.
Officer in charge of me for a little while. Sergeant Shrek was removed from a leadership position. The rest of that time I was at that command, she did not hold a leadership position. She was an E6. She was an E6 in the Army, and she had at least 2 years where she had been removed from a leadership position. That's not a good look. From a leadership position. That's not a good.
Let's get rid of that slight little breath there. I'm doing good. Bum my day away. How about you? How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. I turn 30 tomorrow. I'm not psyched about that. My girlfriend has accepted the fact that I don't really like to celebrate my birthday. I don't really like to do anything big about it, but she's insisting on doing something. So right now she's saying, I'm just going to make you a cake and make you dinner and stuff like that. I'm waiting to see if it actually gets held to or if she's planning something bigger or not. But other than that, just being productive, finally finishing up editing this thing, and then I still have to take the big story, and which is, oh fuck, how long is that? Let me see. How long is that?
Okay.
The big one is 1 hour and 31 minutes long. And then I have these side little tangents that I recorded on other days that I'll have to throw in at certain points and edit that together. And I'm debating either posting that like on another like Friday or Tuesday morning kind of thing, or posting it on like a Saturday. But this section is done. I have I'm being more productive. I'm gonna start. I don't know if I think you did get into the Discord, but one of the next like Discord-y type projects I'm doing is I'm gonna get a Minecraft server started up again, a role-playing server started up on Minecraft again. So once this part is done and I could get some other stories edited and stuff, I'm gonna be able to put a lot more work into that. So I'm looking forward to that. I need to get the podcast edited for Wednesday because right now the first episode posted on a Monday. This will be the second episode, so I'm going to post it on a Wednesday, and the third episode I'm going to post on a Friday, and just see kind of what day does best for us, and then keep to consistency with that. So getting that done. And then yeah, just making progress on shit. Getting very, very close to monetization, so eventually I'll be getting paid for the work I'm doing, hopefully. PC for the Minecraft server? Yeah, it'll be a PC server. Makes it easier to manage, easier to mod, all that, and I just have Minecraft for the PC. 12 more subs on YouTube. Yeah, I'm also just learning more and more, and like I guess I've learned it, but I'm just realizing more and more how big the name of a video is to getting it views, because the last the last 5 shorts that I posted, when I initially posted them, got almost no views and no engagement for like the first 2 hours, which is not typical. Normally you'll get a little bit within that, a good little bit within that first few hours. And then I changed the name, and then like within minutes of me changing the name, boom, shoots up. Like this last one, I posted at 2 p.m. today. It was originally titled "Calling Out a Deceitful Recruiter." Didn't get anything. It got 2 views within the first hour or so, within the first like hour and a half. I changed the name to "Recruiter Gets Called Out." Just a very, very slight difference, and now it's getting its spike. It's getting its large amount of views. It's like, well, damn, that's small change. Position. That's not a good look. Look, you don't get to advance after that. You do not get to advance after that. After that, you do not get to advance after that. And as far as I know, because I would check in every once in a while, I would check in on her career every once in a while. Like, I don't have her on Facebook, but her Facebook was largely public. I would look her up. As far as I know, the rest of her career, she never made rank again. Because when you're an E6 and you're at that point, she would have been 13 years in. When you're 13 years in as an E6 and you get removed from a leadership position for 2 years. Bam, bam. Yeah, it's really crazy. And like, there's sometimes like lately I've been posting shorts. I'm like, I don't know if this title's going to do well, and like, nope, title doesn't. It doesn't get anything, and then I change the title. Sometimes hours and hours in, I'll change the title, and then all of a sudden it starts getting a lot of views. Like the one I posted this morning, or was it? Yeah, the one I posted at 5 a.m. this morning was titled "Roasting Pulford." And in its first 2.5 hours, it got 4 views. I changed it to Goofy NPC, and then it spiked up to 1,000 views. The one I posted yesterday that was about my grandma getting her vision back, I posted that one at 12 p.m. It got no views because it was titled "My Grandma's Miracle." I changed it to "My Grandma's Vision Came Back Somehow," and then it's still spiking. It's at 4,000 some right now, and it's still spiking. It's wild. It's and there's the thing too, is I think it has more to do with the way YouTube algorithm pushes stuff than it does with whether or not people click on it. Because I will look at the disparity between views and impressions, because if it's getting if it's getting no views but a lot of impressions, then that's because the title or the thumbnail or whatever is not engaging people, so they're not clicking on it. But if it gets no views and very low impressions, that means it's because YouTube isn't showing it to people.
You don't get to make rank again. They're never going to put you in charge of people ever fucking again. So as far as I know, she... So as far as I know, she ruined her career, and I helped make it happen. Because fuck you, Shrek. Fuck you. You massive piece of shit. I still think about... Like, I hold on to this a little bit too much. I recognize that. But I still think about messaging her, like, adding her on Facebook. Like, I hold... Massive piece of shit. Fuck you. You massive piece of shit. I still think about... Like, I hold on to this a little bit too much. I recognize that. But I still think about messaging her, like, adding her on Facebook or just shooting her a message on Facebook to tell her what a massive piece of shit I think she is. Because I fucking hate her. Also... Here's a part of the story I almost forgot.
What part is this?
She's divorced. Her and her husband got divorced. I met her husband. I liked her husband. Her husband was actually a nice guy. Her husband... she moved her profile to private enough that I can't check. And here's...
Shit.
I don't know how he stayed with her so she... But none of her recent pictures look very... So she might not be in the military anymore. To be fair, it's been long enough, because if you hit 20 years as a... don't get to... So you don't get to go... so by now, she would have either been forced to retire or gotten out on her own. Because before that, when I knew her, pretty much every picture she had some indication that she was still either be in uniform or she would be at a base or what part. Because I have this all recording. I'm going to make a video out of this. But here's one of the fucked up things that this isn't even as fucked up. This is just telling about the type of person she is. Always, my entire time in the military, I always showed up early, at least an hour early. Usually, if I at the...
Whoops.
At the very least, very rarely would I leave to leadership positions. I'd let one of my guys go early.
Okay. That's just the relieving me late thing, which I'm not going to bother making into a separate video. So that's just going to go into the main one.
Shooting her a message on Facebook to tell her what a massive piece of shit I think she is. I was on the night shift for was not required to come in for that night shift. No one told us because he's last day. So essentially, he doesn't have to come in for that because when she was relieving me was Johnston. There's a debriefing happening later for this exercise. You need to be there for that. Remind you, I get relieved. Fine, fuck. I go. I don't even really go home.
What?
I go to the gym, try to get a workout in, and then go grab food, and then end up coming in super early because there was no point in me...
Just generate the peak file, please. Thank you.
...going home for this. And it went and got food, and like, Johnston was like, I'm here for the debrief. He's like, okay. Go talk to her real quick. Do you know where she is? I said, apparently, this man went and go there and send him home. Finds me and stay up for, and that's when I get told I was never people that would come to me because a lot of other people, Navy, said something along the lines of, yeah, she's not treating you right. She's not doing that. She's not allowed to do that. She was no longer my boss. I would occasionally like either when we were just out hanging out or just legitimately sometimes in the office, I would be complaining. I knew we're aware of it. I mean, yeah, that's not okay. It's like, oh man, I wish I. What I made it a point to do, because she was never put in a leadership position again. But what I made it a point to do, shit, directly told me that it wasn't okay. You didn't do shit. Would have talked to be complaining about her. She was no longer my boss after she got removed from a leadership position. She's not allowed to do that. She's blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Not being able to handle it. This is something that's not okay, because a lot of other people, Navy. Okay, I do have to go run and do some stuff. Unfortunately, I got to keep this stream short. Thank you for coming out and watching me edit videos. I'm not sure how engaging or entertaining that is, but hey, if I can provide you some decent background noise at the very least, I'm very happy for that. I'm going to finish this video up when I get back eventually, but I probably won't stream that part. And then this will post at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. On my birthday. Yeah. Sure that's saved. So I need to edit out that part. And here I am.